Hello everyone. I'm so happy to see you back on my channel. Today, we'll continue with another heartfelt chapter in the story of Hoai Ca and Officer Hung, two people who have never stopped fighting for a peaceful and loving life. After days of waiting and worrying, Hung and Hoai Ca have finally decided to take little Tony to the provincial hospital, hoping to find out why their child still hasn't spoken his first words. But this isn't just a trip. It's a journey of faith, love, and hope. It's where a young mother places her whole heart in her son's tiny hands, and where a man silently walks behind them, protecting them both with all his care. Stay with me until the end of today's video to see what awaits them at the hospital. And to find out whether the small spark of hope they're holding on to will finally be lit. Morning came softly to the little house tucked against the hillside, a quiet brushstroke of peace amidst a village still veiled in mist. The first sunlight filtered through a worn curtain, spilling across the old wooden table where Hoai Ca sat with Tony. The air was filled with the mingling scents of instant noodles, warm milk, damp wood, and faint kitchen smoke drifting from the neighbor's stove, the familiar fragrance of a countryside morning, simple and tender. "Eat up, sweetheart. After breakfast, Mommy will take you to school," she said gently, her voice soft as the morning haze, half coaxing, half comforting. But Tony didn't answer. His tiny hand stirred the spoon lazily in the bowl, his gaze drifting toward the yard, where a striped tabby cat lay curled beneath the bougainvillea. Pink petals had fallen all around its body, and the sunlight glimmered on its fur, making it look like a small patch of light asleep in this quiet world. Hoai Ca smiled faintly, setting her spoon down. She reached over and smoothed her son's soft brown hair. "That's all right, honey. Mommy will buy you something you like later. Just seeing you behave makes me happy." Her tone was calm, but there was a flicker of heaviness beneath it, the quiet weight of worry she tried to hide behind her gentle smile. From outside came the familiar rhythm of village sounds, the distant crow of a rooster, the call of the street vendor, "Hot bon gio here." The old lady next door swept her yard, the broom's rustle blending with the clatter of dishes and the soft hum of morning life. Together, they formed a small symphony of peace, one that only a rural dawn could bring. Yet, within that stillness, Hoai Ca's heart was anything but calm. The little boy sitting across from her, 2.5 years old, had still never spoken a word. "No, Mommy, no, I'm hungry," no playful chatter like the other children. She had once taken him to the district clinic, and the doctor said, "It's probably delayed speech development, just give him time." But time had passed, and silence remained. Each morning, when she heard the neighbors' children laughing, calling out to one another, her chest tightened. Sometimes, while cooking, she'd hear a small voice from next door cry, "Mommy." And for an instant, her hands would freeze, her heart leaping with hope, before she realized it wasn't Tony's voice at all. Only the wind slipping through the cracks, while her son still sat quietly, eyes bright but distant. Hoai Ca looked at him, her gaze full of all the things she couldn't say. She adjusted the collar of his shirt, her fingers trembling slightly, and whispered, more to herself than to him, "If you could just say one word. Mommy could start over. As long as you're healthy, I can bear anything." Outside, the sun climbed higher, its golden light brushing across the old plaster wall. From afar, the sound of a motorbike engine rose, steady, familiar. It was Hung, coming home early that morning to take them to the provincial hospital for Tony's examination. A small shiver ran through Hoai Ca's chest, part hope, part fear. She looked once more at her son, took his little hand in hers, and whispered, like a promise, "Let's go, my love. Today, we'll finally find an answer. Whatever it is, Mommy will be right here with you." As Hoai Ca folded Tony's clothes neatly into a small suitcase, the soft sound of footsteps came from the kitchen. Mother Ha appeared, still holding a dish towel faintly scented with wood smoke and fish sauce. Her kind face, lined with the quiet traces of age, lit up with gentle curiosity. "What will you do after taking the boy to school?" she asked slowly, her tone calm and affectionate, eyes glancing toward the small suitcase open on the bed. Hoai Ca looked up and smiled. "I'll stop by the new plot of land that Hung just bought, clear a few rows for corn. Then I'll head home early to make lunch for everyone." Her voice carried a quiet excitement, and her eyes gleamed with the simple joy of a woman finally touching something she could call home. The land was still rough, only fenced and half-cleared, but to Hoai Ca, it was hope itself, a place where she and her son might finally belong, without fear of moving again each time the rains came. Mother Ha nodded, wiping her hands on her faded apron as she asked, "And what about Hung? He's been working non-stop these days. Is he coming back today?" Hoai Ca turned toward the window, where sunlight filtered through the pomelo branches, painting soft golden streaks across the floor. She smiled, a mixture of pride and longing in her expression. "He's coming home this afternoon, Mother. His supervisor sent him to a training course in the province. He said he'll pick us up later, take Tony for a checkup while we're there. If the doctor says he should stay for speech therapy, then we might need to stay a few months." Hearing that, Mother Ha smiled tenderly, her deep eyes glinting with calm reassurance. She set the towel down and stepped closer, placing her sun-browned hand gently on her daughter's shoulder. "Don't worry, my dear. I'll look after the house, the chickens, the ducks, everything. You just take care of the boy. You're doing the right thing. My time has passed already. I only wish for you and the little one to live in peace. Don't hesitate anymore." Her voice was soft, like the breeze through bamboo leaves, but it struck straight into Hoai Ca's heart. Her nose stung, and she lowered her head, whispering, "I know, Mother, thank you. Truly." Outside, the morning wind rustled through the bamboo, carrying with it the fragrance of ripe pomelos and cooking smoke. Chickens clucked somewhere near the coop, filling the quiet air with the sounds of life. Tony came toddling over, clutching the hem of his grandmother's brown blouse. He babbled a few unclear sounds and then burst into bright laughter. Mother Ha bent down, lifting him into her arms. Her voice was warm, full of affection. "My sweet boy, we're going on a little trip, aren't we? Be good for the doctors, and speak soon so your mama's heart can rest, hmm?" Hoai Ca watched the two of them, her heart swelling with emotion, love, gratitude, and the quiet ache of farewell. She turned back to her packing, adding a few more small clothes, a towel, and Tony's favorite toy. Everything was simple but neatly arranged, just like how she managed her life, slow, steady, and full of care. From outside came the low hum of a motorbike engine approaching. Mother Ha looked toward the gate, eyes brightening. "That must be Hung." Hoai Ca smiled softly, her heart beating a little faster. She knew that today's journey might change everything, not just a trip to the hospital, but the first real step toward the home she had always dreamed of, a home built from faith, love, and hope for the future. The sun had risen high, spreading ribbons of golden light across the hillside. Birds chirped merrily among the pomelo trees, and the last beads of night dew still clung to the leaves, glittering like tiny pearls. Mother Ha and Hoai Ca set out together, carrying a sickle, a bamboo basket, and a flask of water, making their way toward the new plot of land. The narrow dirt path wound between tall reeds, where white butterflies fluttered briefly before disappearing into the early sunlight. The young grass was still wet with dew, brushing against the hems of their pants. Each step released the earthy scent of damp soil, the smell of new beginnings. Mother Ha looked around, her eyes sweeping over the stretch of land before them, rows of pomelo trees sprouting fresh buds, a line of green bamboo swaying in the distance, and the red dirt path curling toward the main road. She exhaled softly, her voice filled with quiet satisfaction. Hung has a good eye, truly. This land is wide and high. Far from the stream, no floods, no landslides. Building a house here will give peace for a lifetime. Hoai Ca wiped the sweat from her forehead and smiled faintly. He thinks carefully about everything, mother. He said he'll raise the ground higher before building. He told me, no matter how heavy the storms, you and our boy will always have a safe place. When he said that, I felt such calm inside, like everything would finally be all right. Mother Ha nodded, her eyes glowing with joy and quiet emotion. She looked at her daughter, the small, hard-working woman swinging her sickle with care, yet still taking time to gaze around the garden. Her thoughts wandered back to the years before, when Hoai Ca had cradled baby Tony in a leaky old house, where every rainstorm meant sleepless nights catching drips in buckets. Now, seeing her daughter cared for by a man who truly meant it, the weight in her heart felt suddenly lighter. The two women worked side by side, clearing the weeds as they talked. Each swing of the sickle flattened another patch of grass, revealing dark, rich soil beneath, the kind of fertile earth that locals fondly called land that breeds golden fruit. Hoai Ca crouched down to pull a few stubborn weeds around the pomelo roots and said softly, as if sharing a dream. If we plant a few rows of corn and vegetables here, it'll be enough to live on all year. I want to build a little trellis for gourds too, and grow onions and herbs, so we won't have to go to the market as often. That's the right way, Mother Ha replied, walking toward the largest pomelo tree. She reached up, picking a few round, dew-covered fruits, their skins gleaming under the sun. These ones are perfect, the flesh will be pink and juicy. You'll get a good price for them at the market. Hoai Ca took the basket, selecting the best fruits with care, smiling as she worked. I'll keep 2 for us to eat later. The rest, if I sell them, it should be enough to buy more milk for Tony. Her words were light, but her eyes shone with quiet pride, the kind of joy only a mother knows, gathering small earnings from her own labor just to give her child a little more strength, a little more chance to grow. A gentle wind blew from the fields, carrying the scent of pomelo blossoms and freshly turned earth. Above them, a few small birds fluttered down, perching on the branches, chirping as if joining the two women in their morning work. Mother Ha placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder, her voice warm and steady. Take it slow, dear. You've got a long trip later. Today feels like a lucky day, maybe heaven will bless this journey with good news. Hoai Ca smiled, her gaze drifting toward the narrow path leading down to the commune center, the road where Hung would soon arrive on his motorbike. In her heart rose a feeling hard to name, part anticipation, part gratitude, part trembling hope that the journey ahead would mark a new beginning for her and her little boy. Following the shaded bamboo path down the small slope, Mother Ha walked slowly home. The morning mist had all but vanished, leaving only a faint coolness in the air. The village road was quiet, filled with the comforting sense of dry straw and distant cooking smoke drifting on the breeze. As she walked, her thoughts lingered on the new piece of land. Just a few days ago, it had been an overgrown hillside, and now it echoed with the sounds of laughter, tools, and human life. From afar came the familiar hum of a motorbike. A green vehicle appeared along the red dirt track. Hung, dressed in his simple police uniform, slowed down and stopped beside her, smiling warmly. Good morning, Mother Ha. I just came from the new land. I saw you and Hoai Ca working there. I was going to head back soon to pick her and Tony up. Mother Ha smiled gently, her face kind and weathered. Ah, we keep bumping into you everywhere. Come on then, give me a ride home. The sun's getting stronger. Yes, of course, Mother, Please get on, Hung said quickly, setting the kickstand and helping her onto the seat with careful hands. He started the bike and drove slowly down the slope. The hum of the engine blended with the whispering wind and birdsong, the steady rhythm of a peaceful country morning. After a while, Mother Hoai spoke, her tone full of pride. You chose well, Hung. That plot's perfect, safe, spacious, quiet. Not many like it around here. I'm truly happy for that girl, for my little Hoai Ca. Hung smiled modestly. I just wanted to find a place where she and the boy could live safely, Mother. If I can manage it, I plan to build a proper house, steel frame, cool metal roof, high foundation. No more wooden walls like before. I want them to never worry about storms or leaks again. Mother Hoai nodded slowly, her eyes soft with emotion. Hearing you say that, I can rest easy. Since she's been with you, her life has changed for the better. All I wish now is for little Tony to speak soon. When I can finally hear that child's laughter, I'll have nothing more to ask for. There was a moment of quiet before Hung replied, his voice low. I'll do my best, Mother. I've already arranged for a doctor I know at the provincial hospital to see him. I didn't tell her yet, I don't want her to worry too much. Mother Hoai chuckled, her tone gentle but knowing. Hung, you can't hide anything from that girl. She cares deeply for you, I can see it in her eyes. You're still young. Just keep doing what's right, and heaven will bless you. The motorbike rolled gently through fields of green. The wind fluttered the edge of her brown blouse, while Hung kept a steady grip on the handlebars, guiding them down the bumpy country road. Before they reached the village gate, she spoke again, her voice thoughtful. Oh, by the way, I've been thinking of finding a small plot of land near the rice field on the other side. I'm getting old, walking far to the garden is tiring. No rush though, if you see something suitable, let me know. Hung nodded with an easy smile. Leave it to me, Mother. I know someone in the commune office. If any good land comes up, I'll tell you right away. You just rest and take care of yourself. Land's easy to handle, your health isn't. She laughed softly, the lines around her eyes deepening with warmth. I know. You've been looking after everything already. If you were my real son, I'd have no worries left in this life. Hung laughed shyly. Mother, you're making me blush. But I promise, I'll do everything I can so Hoai Ca and Tony will never have to struggle again. The motorbike turned onto a narrow road shaded by tall areca palms. The sound of the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the soft laughter of Mother Hoai mingled with Hung's determined gaze, blending into one tender, unspoken promise carried on the golden morning air. By noon, the sun stood high overhead. Cicadas chirped loudly in the garden, and a dry breeze drifted from the hillside, carrying the scent of parched soil and faint traces of pomelo blossoms. The hum of Hung's motorbike grew softer as he pulled into the gate, the sound fading into the still summer air. He parked the bike and stepped into the yard, sweat glistening on his brow, his face marked by both urgency and quiet concern. Inside, Hoai Ca was packing clothes for Tony. On the table sat a small open suitcase filled with neatly folded outfits, a towel, some milk and biscuits, and a bottle of water. Every item was arranged carefully, the meticulous touch of a woman who had long learned to keep life in order, no matter how uncertain things became. Pack a few warm clothes too, Hung said, pouring himself a glass of water. Once we're done eating, we'll pick Tony up and head straight to the provincial hospital. If we get hungry, we'll stop somewhere on the way, better not waste time. Hoai Ca looked up and nodded. Strands of hair clung to her damp forehead, she looked tired but her eyes were bright with resolve. I know, I'm almost ready. I just want to pack a bit more milk for him. This time, we have to find out what's really going on. From the kitchen, Mother Ha appeared, her straw hat in hand, her voice laced with both worry and affection. Be careful, my dear. Don't drive too fast, it's hot and the road's long. I just hope the doctor examines him carefully and says it's only a speech delay. Then I can finally rest easy. Hung smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, Mother. I've already called a doctor I know in the province. This time, they'll help us for sure. She nodded slowly, though her eyes lingered on the small suitcase, that modest little case carrying all the hopes of a grandmother for her quiet grandson. Stepping closer, she placed a comforting hand on Hoai Ca's shoulder and said softly, "Stay calm, child. Whatever happens, don't panic. Lots of children start talking late. Take your time, I'll keep the house. Don't worry about anything else." Hoai Ca held her mother's hand and smiled gently. "I know, Mother. Please take care of yourself, the sun's harsh these days." For a brief moment, the house fell silent. The sound of cicadas filled the space again, mingling with the whisper of wind brushing over the tin roof, a steady rhythm, like time itself slowing down before a journey. Hoai Ca looked at the little suitcase and felt her chest tighten. Every piece she'd packed wasn't just for a trip, it was her faith, her hope, her deepest wish as a mother, that her son would finally find his voice. She took a deep breath and smiled faintly. "Let's go, Hung. I'm ready." Hung lifted the suitcase and turned toward the door. "We'll call tonight, Mother, don't wait up." Mother Ha nodded, her eyes following them as they stepped into the bright sunlight, their shadows stretching long across the yard. From the porch, her voice carried softly into the warm wind. "Go on, my children. I'll look after the house." May this be the day Tony finally speaks his first word. Her words drifted away with the wind, spreading across the golden fields beyond, like a quiet blessing, a mother's prayer sent ahead on the road of hope. Hung's motorbike rolled slowly down the village road under the blazing noon sun. Its wheels turned over the dusty red earth, the hum of the engine blending with the steady chorus of cicadas singing from the pomelo trees, a familiar soundtrack of a quiet rural summer. On the back seat, Hoai Ca sat still, her hands wrapped tightly around the small suitcase resting on her lap. She turned once to look behind her. At the end of the road, Mother Ha stood leaning against the old bamboo gate, her small figure framed against the bright sky. The wind lifted the hem of her brown blouse, stirring the silver strands of her hair in the sunlight. She watched them go, her eyes squinting from the glare, yet filled with tenderness, following until their shapes blurred at the bend where the village road disappeared. On the bike, Hoai Ca tightened her grip on the suitcase. With every turn of the wheels, her heart grew heavier, heavy with love for her mother, with worry for her child, and with the quiet hope that today's journey might mark a turning point in their small, fragile life. Hung said nothing. He kept his eyes on the road, his expression steady. The wind rushed against them, tousling his hair, while sunlight streamed through the gaps between trees, scattering golden streaks across his shirt. In that silence was a quiet resolve, the strength of a man who had made his choice, to stand beside these two souls no matter how uncertain the road ahead might be. Behind them, Mother Ha lifted a hand to shield her eyes from the sun, still watching long after the sound of the motor faded. In the stillness of the afternoon, her voice drifted softly with the warm breeze. "Go on, my dear ones. I'll keep the house." May this be the day little Tony finds his first words. Her words dissolved into the sunlight, carried by the wind across the fields, over rows of areca palms, bamboo groves, and newly sprouted rice paddies. The sound lingered like a quiet blessing, tender yet deep, a mother's faith carried down a sunlit, dusty road, where love, hope, and a new beginning awaited. In the distance, Hung's motorbike disappeared beyond the last line of bamboo at the edge of the village. Only the small brown silhouette of Mother Ha remained by the gate, and the unending hum of cicadas stretched across the glowing sky, a gentle farewell to a journey just beginning. Hung's motorbike grew smaller and smaller under the noon sunlight, leaving behind the quiet village, and Mother Ha's tender, watchful gaze. A new journey had begun, one built on faith, love, and hope, for the little boy named Tony. Stay tuned for the next episode, where Hung and Hoai Ca bring Tony to the provincial hospital and discover the unexpected twists awaiting them ahead.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Mình cũng không biết sao đây. Hello mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình đang mang đến video về câu chuyện của